Hi, this is Xuan Gui coming to you from Social Health 2010 in Austin, Texas. Bright, sunny, warm Austin, Texas. I'm here with Greg Matthews from Humana, and otherwise known as Chimus on Twitter. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you very much.
So, Greg, earlier today you gave a wonderful presentation about the role that social media can play in the payer groups, namely Humana, which is a company you work for. Can you just summarize some of the key points for us in a few sentences?
Sure. I would say contextually, the really important thing for us to remember is that any real change in the health system needs to be driven by consumers. And so we as a payer want to do everything we can to enable and support that. And so we've been trying to use social media to really change the way that we do business as a company with all of our stakeholder sets. And that includes our customers, it includes the doctors and hospitals in our network, it includes the pharmacies. And so we see it as a way to really shift the way that we think about collaboration and product development and service in a way that we hope will drive some meaningful change for the health system.
Okay, and so, before social media, was there a before social media? I don't know. But before social media came around, thinking about the traditional ways that your company did things and the industry did things, how has social media actually changed the game, or how has it brought a different aspect of what you do now into light?
That's a great question, and I think we've been focused for a long time on how to bring the consumer more into the health and healthcare process, but I think social takes that to a new level, and we haven't seen it fully explored in the health space yet. I think we've seen it in industries like music and film and publishing, where consumers have really taken over and really demanded a shift in the way the industry works. We haven't seen it in health, but I think it's going to come, and we want to make sure that we're fully abreast of the tools that are being used. We want to make sure that we understand how people are interacting and really look at it as a way to build deeper relationships with those stakeholders that I talked about.
So I think one of the things you talked about was developing tools and bringing value to your audience in a way that would change behavior, obviously for good. So could you give us an example? I think you talked about some tool that you created that was based on a pedometer, a social gaming tool. If you could tell us a little bit about that and some of the outcomes that you saw that were surprising.
Sure. I think the thing that's interesting about what we're doing philosophically is that there are a lot of people who are taking healthy things and trying to make them more fun. We've really turned that on its head, and we're really looking at fun things that people already enjoy doing, and then trying to figure out how to make those activities more healthy. And so the gaming activity that you mentioned is an example of that. Kids love to play video games, and so we created a video game that was a group video game for kids that's powered by the steps they take and measured by a pedometer. So what we were seeing is that kids were playing this game with each other against other schools. So they had this camaraderie there, a lot of commentary. And basically, as they would take steps, they would power their school in a race around the world. And what we found is that kids really liked it. They loved being able to do the competition online. But what was really interesting is that they collaborated together so strongly. 60% of the kids that played that game said that they exercised more together at recess in order to get more steps. And overall, what we're seeing is the numbers are around 35% increase in activity from before the game started to during the game. So we see it as something that has a real potential to change behavior in kids.
And I guess the question that a lot of people will have is, what benefit do you see from your side? What's the benefit to you?
I think for us, we're looking at this a couple of ways. Number one, it's certainly beneficial for us to have healthier people, people that are managing their health, more engaged in their health. Because frankly, as a payer, it lowers the cost in the system, and that's important for us. But we also think that health is an untapped market. Most of the healthcare system today is really centered around managing sickness, and there's very, very little emphasis on creating health. We believe that there's a commercial market in creating health, and so we see a benefit there for us as well.
It's almost like preventative care, I guess.
I think it's taking preventative care to the next level. It's preventative care assumes that somebody's going to be sick at some point, and we're trying to really shut the sickness part out of the equation altogether and really just focus on driving health.
Great. And one final question I have is, from your experience and from these trials and experiments that you've done in social media, what do you think are lessons that others can learn to adapt in other areas of healthcare?
Sure, that's another great question. It's been a tough journey. Changing in a big Fortune 100 company can be challenging, but I think the things that have really worked well for us are, number one, we try to learn everything that we can from those who are out there doing it. We look at best practices in all industries, not just health, and really figure out what works so that we don't end up reinventing the wheel. Secondly, I'd say we like to find a safe place to explore, because there's no way to really improve what you're doing without getting out there and trying some things. And so finding a safe place where we can try some things that have low risk but good opportunities to learn, that's another thing. And then really just embodying what 2.0 is really about. It's really about collaboration and groundswell and doing things differently to reflect that. So for example, instead of having a governance committee around social media, we have an uncommittee that is really strictly voluntary. There are no government, governance and controls, and it's really meant to be a safe place where people can explore. And that is the very essence of what user-generated content in 2.0 is all about. And I think that's something that could be easily replicated in other places.
Great. Thank you very much, Greg. Really a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you.